I remember. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 12th meeting of Plano West Rotary. And we're going to have a unique schedule today. So everybody be on your toes. But first, what we're going to do is ask Courtney Hitt. She's going to lead us in the invocation.
All right, and regrets for not being there in person. Okay, so we pause in quiet reflection to offer this prayer for a peaceful world. In our individual and personal ways, we call upon the Holy One who sustains our lives and who inspires us to live with compassion and kindness and peace. We ask for daily guidance in all of our personal relationships, in our work and play, and in our community involvement, that we might model the possibilities of peace in everything we say and everything we do. We ask for wisdom and compassion within the hearts and minds of all world leaders who have the power and the responsibility of making decisions that impact the presence of peace. We ask for courage, dedication, and integrity within the spirits of all those who work for peace around the world. We ask for all of those who harbor thoughts and feelings of hatred, violence, and greed, that their hearts and minds and souls will be transformed into your likeness of compassion and kindness. We are thankful for your presence within our lives and ask for your blessing as we try to live peaceful lives and seek ways for all people to live in harmony and peace.
Thank you, Courtney, and thank you, everybody. Now I'm going to turn it over to our President-elect, Joy Hinkleman, who will lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, today we have an amazing speaker that will start at 12:30. But before that, we're going to do something unique for our club. One of Rotary's 5 avenues of service is vocational service, and that's our careers, our professions. And Steve Watton, past president, is our vocational chair. And so he's going to, I don't know, I said vocational moment on the slide, but he's going to lead us in a vocational aspect of our club that we haven't been doing well before, and we're now going to do a little bit more of it. So come on up, Steve. Everybody, give him a hand.
Thank you, Alex. We haven't been doing as well with vocational talks as we could have been. That's because I hadn't got around to laying out a schedule for it. So just want to let you know I'll own that one. I do need some people to sign up to do those vocational talks coming up. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about what we should cover in a vocational talk, and then I'm going to do one. Basically, as Alex explained, each of us has a vocation as part of being a member of Rotary. And while Rotary is not necessarily like a BNI group that's there to get referrals, it is a great way to make relationships and friendships that you learn more about who the people in your club are and can lean on them if you have a need in the future. So in particular, what you should discuss in a vocational talk is going to be yourself, your work, your family, maybe a hobby or two, and anything important that you would want to try and mention as part of your job. We typically allow about 5 minutes to do one. So before I start talking, or maybe I can answer some questions afterwards, I'll be happy to talk to you about vocational talks and vocational service. One thing our club used to do in the past, we haven't in recent years, but we also used to have a vocational scholarship. We gave one scholarship for high school in Plano. Then number 4, and it wasn't every year, if we had somebody that wanted to go to a trade school or vocational school, it could be anything from nursing school to plumbing, electrical, air conditioning. We had one year a girl that wanted to go to beauty school and become a beautician. So that's something to think about down the road, maybe when we got a little bit more wiggle room and we actually get to have a balloon festival that doesn't get canceled due to weather or COVID. That's really limited us. Yes, sir.
You should be happy to know that part of our scholarship program acceptable categories are trade schools. And so we just haven't had anybody who is going to a trade school apply. So I know now we have, I think, at least 5 people on a scholarship committee. So while they're seeking out students, they should seek out those that are looking for trade schools as well, because our scholarship guidelines allow that.
Great. I know it may be too late for this year, but I'll be happy to help on the vocational side of that for the applicants for next year for the
I
scholarships.
don't think it's too, is anybody on that committee in here? Because
Where y'all at on that, Fred?
yeah, it's like till May, I think.
Okay, so you haven't started interviews? If you could, send me the paperwork that you would want filled out, and I'll get that over to Collin College. One thing that some of you, excuse me? Somebody say something? One thing that many of you aren't aware of, there is more than one Collin College campus in Collin County. There's a new one that's basically on the edge of Allen-McKinney border that's mainly focused on the vacations. And that includes computer technology, nursing, all kinds of software kind of training if you want to be somebody that writes software. But all the major trades are also recommended right now, but also they are taught there at this college. That includes welding, plumbing, electrical, and air conditioning. And some of the like FFA farm type skills too, maybe ranching or farming in general, something like that. But it's really amazing. And I hope somewhere down the road that we can hold a meeting there at the college where you can kind of do a tour of the campus. It's massive in size. Their air conditioning school is second to none in the USA. And all of their labs are like that at that college. So we'll talk about me. Hi, I'm Steve Lawton. I joined Plano West Rotary in 2001. So I guess I'm 21-year-old member. I'm legal now. The club has changed a little bit over the years, but I'm pleased to say it's kept its core. And that's something I think is really special, that we've been able to stay focused on our core and grow the club with massive amounts of community service. My company was started by my dad in 1957. And that was actually during the very, very early years of air conditioning. Him and his brother went to a trade school in Detroit, Michigan. It was called the Henry Ford Trade School. It was for boys without fathers. Fortunately for them, their father died at about the age of 40. And he had an electrical company in Detroit. And so his brother did electrical, my dad did air conditioning, and they both worked at Vaught Aerospace. When we moved to Oak Cliff in the mid-50s, all of the Fox and Jacob houses out there had central heating, but it didn't have central air. So my dad and his brother decided they didn't want to use window units anymore. They wanted to put it in. The ductwork was there and the furnace was there. So they added central air to their house. They had to insulate all the ductwork and they had the outdoor unit and the cooling coil. And they did that on our house and his brother's house. The neighbors saw them doing that and said, we want that too. And so that's how our business kind of got started. My dad still worked at Vought Aerospace, but he'd take on projects like that where he could work on weekends to put in central air for people. And then my dad and his brother both retired on the same day from Vought, and both of them launched their full-time careers in either electrical or air conditioning. And fortunately, my dad's still with us, my uncle's not, but they used each other for help over the years too, until our company grew big enough that we could have full-time employees to work with my dad. I joined our company in 1987, a year before my daughter was born, and been working there ever since. We've got about 45 employees. I have 2 children. One is Justin, who works with me and is the heir apparent to the company. And then my daughter works for a company, is an advertising company called Publicis Hawkeye. And like her main account is USAA Insurance. And so, and Justin's wife is also in advertising. So needless to say, we do get some critical feedback from the girls as to our advertising and maybe what we should do differently, which is a nice thing to have some free feedback. My daughter's part of our board of directors, along with my son and myself. We serve mainly Collin County and North Dallas areas. When my dad really got the company rolling good, we lived in North Dallas. I went to W.T. White High School, which is right there off the LBJ Freeway and Welch Road in that area near Hockaday. And so we've got customers. I talked to one this week that his dad we did work for his dad back when they lived in that area. And now we do work for him, his mother-in-law, his brother, his sister. And so, I mean, from a career standpoint, with any of y'all, relationships and just working with people in general to help them out. You know, I remember one time my dad at the church we went to, he was at a wedding with my mom, and the air conditioning went out on the church. So he went back to the mechanical room and ended up a contactor had gone out. So he grabbed a pencil and pushed the contactor in and held it in place during the wedding so the chapel would have air conditioning. Air conditioning is a pretty good industry in that you have to know electrical, you have to know plumbing, and then you have to know air conditioning too. So it's a booming industry. With COVID, air filtration and air quality has become a huge focus. And we're looking to hire people all the time, and we'll help pay for their education too and make a commitment to work for us. Questions? Anybody?
Alex, what kind of awards has your company won?
What kind of
Awards.
awards? We just recently won the Carrier President's Award, which is the highest award you can get from Carrier outside of the Hall of Fame, which I'm not old enough to be in the Hall of Fame yet. You know, you kind of maybe retire and your business keeps going, and kind of like the other baseball, football, basketball Hall of Fame, you get in that after you retire. I'm a former chairman of the Air Conditioning Contractors of America. I represented every single contractor in the nation that was a member of ACCA. Some pretty bizarre stuff that's going on in our industry right now is 2 major things. One, refrigerant. The cost of the refrigerant we put in your air conditioner went up 400% from last February to today in 1 year. And that's because they're starting to phase it out. The stuff that's going to take the place of that is partially flammable. It has propane in it. Those units have not been launched in the USA yet. We're only a few years down the road before we won't be able to install the current type systems and we have to go to something else. The good news is the refrigerant for those units will be around for a long time. And just kind of like when we had to phase out the original residential and commercial refrigerant 22, we still are able to buy that today. And that was 20 years ago. They started that phase out. The other thing is our environmental protection agencies at work. How am I doing on time?
5 minutes.
Okay. Crazy thing that they've decided is that right now when we buy refrigerant, it comes in a cylinder, disposable, that's not refillable. The EPA, in their infinite wisdom, has determined that we should use refillable drums. Now, it won't be refillable by us, but it would be refillable by the refrigerant companies that make refrigerant and distribute refrigerant. The problem is that increases the weight of the cylinder 15 pounds. Those cylinders cost approximately $150 a piece. To make this work, that means that everybody that distributes refrigerant is going to have a massive inventory of cylinders with refrigerant in it that somebody's going to own. We would have to have cylinders like that too. And then you've got the recycling side of it where we have to return those drums back and get more cylinders. So we're talking about, I think, $3 billion in cost to the industry. And it's not final yet. Our organization, ACCA, and the wholesale distributors filed a lawsuit against the EPA. It gets heard in October. If we don't have success with that, come January 1, this is going to go into effect, and all it's going to do is drive up the cost to the end user. So I just thought you'd like to know that. That's it, unless y'all got more questions. Alex?
I've had the opportunity to get in and know Steve well over the years, and share with us the type of community service that your company does, helping others, and you and your wife, because you do a lot more than what we see in Rotary.
Yeah. First of all, I'm on the board of directors for the Habitat for Humanity of Collin County. I don't know if anybody has heard about it, but the cotton grows up in McKinney is a shipping container. Shipping containers is what the homes are built from. There's going to be 35 of them in McKinney. We've got the demo completed, and it's at the Habitat office in McKinney on their property for tours. And then we've broken ground on building this village of shipping container homes. The community center that we did is completed and about ready to open. But that's a huge deal, not just in Collin County, but the world, is affordable housing. I don't have enough time to talk about the challenges that Habitat for Humanity is facing in trying to get affordable housing in Collin County. But what I can tell you is the cost of the shipping containers back when we started the project to today have gone up 300%. So stuff like that. My wife's school teacher was at Barron, involved very much in the community too. She's a dyslexia teacher. And so she's helped train some of the teachers in Plano on dyslexia. And she still will work with families that want to try and help identify if they have a kid that might have dyslexia, which is much more prevalent than any of us know. My wife's dyslexic, but was never identified as it. So pretty interesting. Alex?
And tell us about your Douglas community.
Douglas community, we have installed the air conditioning in a large portion of the Douglas community, and many of those homes we're able to do for free, where we were able to get the equipment donated for the jobs, and then we donated the labor. We found suppliers who would donate the associated material, and we've done that on cotton groves too. We're still working on getting a manufacturer to donate the equipment for that one, but also, I've helped out with some of the food drives, stuff like that, and been involved with the Douglas community for a pretty long time. Our club has too. So there you go. Thank you. Sign up. Thank you, sir, for some of the upcoming meetings. So you want to do a classification talk after the meeting, please?
Yes. Steve's got a schedule that we're going to do this probably twice a month over the next few months. So let him know, because as we said, vocational service is one of Rotary's 5 areas of service. And what that means, we apply our ethics, our integrity towards our profession. And it's also that we do business with each other. A lot of people may not know Rotary was started because Paul Harris was a young businessman in Chicago, and and other young business people weren't part of the elite. And so they started a leads group, basically a networking group, and they rotated offices. That's where the Rotary name came from. Then after a few years later, they decided to redirect their focus towards service. But with that said, Rotary always wants us to maintain that area of service of vocational, because if we take our huge service-minded attitude that our club has and applies it to our professions, and use our professions to actually have that same impact, like what Steve is doing, that's truly what Rotarians are all about. And so thank you, Steve. And I'm looking forward to us doing this more. So what we're going to do now for a vocational moment, we're going to talk about basically a foundation moment in the area of vocation. So we're going to show this video.
I am Ed Begley Jr., actor, owner of Begley's Earth Responsible Products. Today I'm speaking with Bonnie Mbithi, a passionate entrepreneur and Rotarian from Nairobi, Kenya. He's the CEO and founder of Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Center, or WE Center for short. Bonnie, how are you today?
Great, Ed. How are you doing?
Very, very good. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about what e-waste is. Why is it important to dispose of it safely?
E-waste in a nutshell is anything electrical or electronic that has either been overtaken by technology or has become obsolete. It is very harmful not only to the environment, but also to the health of the ecosystem, including human health and also animals and plants. So if these metals are not properly handled and end up in the environment, they pollute our natural resources, rivers, lakes, and also the soil. So what we do at WE Center is to make sure that we provide a safe resting place for these electronics.
How do you dispose of it safely? Say I give you my iPhone, what happens next?
So to us, it comes as an equipment. So it comes as a device, as a mobile phone. But the mobile phone has plastics, it has metal, it has glass. So when you look at our facility, we have different ways of handling different fractions. So now they become fractions. So if it's plastic, plastic will be handled separately. So we have shredders, the plastic will be shredded, and then the shredded plastic will be used to make new plastic materials. Then if it's metal, the metal will go to smelters, it will be smelted. You make new metal that can be used in construction, it can be used in any activity. So you find everything that comes to us, we have to find a way of either refurbishing it, extending the lifespan of the equipment for reuse. It can be donated, it can be brought back to the market.
Bonnie, tell me, what made you want to go into e-waste management?
Came as a need. So before we center, we were doing a non-profit called Computers for Schools Kenya. Our work was getting computers from developed countries, the US, Europe, and then bring them to Kenya, refurbish, and then donate them to schools. So while at it, we would visit some of the schools that we had donated computers in the early years, and you find that those computers have been piled up in a classroom somewhere or in a store somewhere. So at that time, we didn't even know what e-waste management was all about. And it was interesting, when you go to most companies in Kenya at that time, even the IT company, they didn't understand e-waste. So we had to benchmark with countries in Europe.
Now, have you seen an increase in the awareness of the need for safe e-waste disposal practices?
Definitely. If I look back, I would say there's growth in terms of the awareness that is there in Kenya. And I would say WeCenter has really done a lot to make sure that this awareness goes up. One way of measuring that awareness is by the tonnage that we receive. Our tonnage is constantly growing annually. Last year, 2021, we got slightly over 300 tons of e-waste. I remember some time back, one of public figure in Kenya posted on Twitter and asked, how do you dispose e-waste around? And you had so many Kenyans who put WeCenter. They're like, talk to WeCenter. This is the number. This is the website. So that only shows that now it's not only us from the WeCenter who are creating this awareness, but we have goodwill ambassadors out there who have already interacted with us.
How do you feel your company aligns itself with Rotarian values?
If you look at our work, is all about creating impact. Even everything that we do, we focus on planet, we focus on people, we focus on communities. Then now you have environment as another new thematic area for Rotary. So I feel really Rotary helps the WeCenter and myself to also do better and create more impact in the society and the community.
Lastly, how can viewers do their part in reducing e-waste?
It's all about being responsible. If you're consuming electronics, make sure that you're also responsible when it comes to the disposal. And then also collaborating more, especially Rotarians. We are many in the world, yeah? And if we want to create impact, this is one of the ways of creating impact. If you don't take care of the environment will not take care of you.
We have only one planet. We need to protect it.
Well, that was a global example of a Rotarian using their business to promote the values of Rotary. And Steve represents a local Rotarian using his business to promote the values of Rotary. What you're seeing on the screen, when people ask you, what does Rotary do? This is what we do. These are our areas of focus. So when we do service projects within our community, well, there's 1.2 million Rotarians doing service projects in their communities. And these are our focuses. We focus on peace building, conflict prevention, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation and hygiene, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and community economic development in the environment. So as Rotarians, our goal is to impact our community in those areas. And our club does that to the highest level. So when someone asks you, what does Rotary do? This is what we do. And these are our areas of focus, and our projects are affecting those areas. And we have somebody like Steve doing it locally in multiple levels, and we have Rotarians all over the world. And our objectives as Rotarians for us to do the same through our careers and our professions. Did you have a question, Steve?
Just a comment. We have 3 containers, size of shipping containers in our office. One's for trash, one's for metal, and one's for cardboard. So every unit that we remove, anything that's metal, 100% is recycled. And the same with the cardboard that every new unit is wrapped.
That is awesome. Thank you. All right, well, now we're going to do club business real quickly because we have a great speaker here. We have the next happy hour at Isabel's house, May 6th. Woohoo! Thank you, Isabel. I think everybody should have gotten an Evite on it. So I was out of town for the last one, but I heard it was a lot of fun. So that once again, that's something we're wanting to do every month. So send a text to Laura Johnson if you would like to volunteer your house. I also want to mention there's district conference and awards banquet in Carrollton on April 22nd to 23rd. You've probably received multiple emails from the district on it. It's $55 through $170 a person to attend. There's no club reimbursement on that, but you definitely should be going. And then we have our Rotary International Convention. That's in Houston in June. We're trying to get a lot of people to attend. Our very own Tamara is actually a panelist in a breakout session on Rotary Community Corps, of which we have the first and only Rotary Community Corps in our district, the Rotary Community Corps of Plano Douglas Community. Also, I want to remind everybody, you should have received emails about your dues. They went out 1st of April, so please do it, pay it, write a check, what have you, click the link, that will work. And then what else did I have? Okay, I guess that's it for club business. Now, I do want to talk about, I wasn't there, but awesome happy hour at Molly's house, I heard. I think it was over 20 people there. And so that's awesome. You know, we need to, now that we're kind of back, I'm not gonna say COVID's over, but we are more out and about. Now it gives us our opportunity to do more networking. Then I also want to say we did have our partner with BedStart, where we deliver furniture to families in need. That was, we do that once a month, and that was on April 9th. Then upcoming, we have, we have our 3 food pantry drives on those different dates. And also what's not on here, I just found out that Jennifer Schertzer found us another great project, and Courtney Hitt is the team leader. Well, we're going to be providing volunteers to Plano's Asia Fest, which is really important. And so I've been a part of that over the years, and I'm glad that our club's going to be able to participate in that. So it's on the website. So go to our website, Service Projects, and sign up. Jennifer, is it like, I guess I should ask Courtney, how many volunteers do we need, Courtney?
I think
So I know
20 in total. Is that correct, Jen?
Oh, 40.
Oh, it's 20 per.
So we need 40 volunteers or 20 people that'll do both shifts. So this is a fun thing to do. Yes. And so
Yeah.
bring your friends, bring your
Asia
kids.
Fest is a blast. Yeah.
When is it? May 7th on a Saturday. We like Saturday projects because then you can bring your kids and neighbors. So with that, I'm going to have Jennifer Schertzer come up and introduce our speaker. Start moving.
Okay, pardon me for reading. I'm so excited to have the pleasure of introducing my good friend, Abbie Alter. She is a digital and online marketing expert with 24 years of experience driving online traffic to websites and selling a huge variety of products and services, including flights and fridges. In 2013, Abbie moved here from London with her husband, Daniel, and 2 kids, Jesse and Lucy. And as she was looking for resources to help a new family get settled, she noticed a business opportunity. So she founded Plano Moms. It is a media platform that includes a website, an email newsletter, and social media that benefits her community of 40,000 local moms. She is a Facebook certified community builder and manager, and she loves being a content creator that provides resources to her audience. And I will say personally, she is extremely engaged civically and politically here in Plano. She's involved with Leadership Plano, Board of Directors, and Junior League of Collin County. To me personally, she exemplifies collaboration over competition. So please welcome our speaker, Abbie Alter.
Right. Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone on Zoom. I'm really happy to see 3 of my Leadership Plano Class 37 best virtual class ever classmates online today, and Catherine as well, who was in my class too. So today I was thinking a lot about what am I going to talk about to the Rotary organization here in West Plano. And this is not my normal presentation because normally I talk a lot about marketing, and I know that all of you are probably not the ideal audience for that, and I definitely respect your time. So actually, I thought I would tell you the background story of Plano Mums and tell you a little bit about the community that we have here online here in Plano. And hopefully you'll find some overlap between some of your mission, your values, and some of the projects that you undertake, because many of the recipients of the good work that you do are likely in my community too. So I thought it'd be very, very useful for you to find out a little bit more about them. And I want to peel back the curtain today and kind of take you behind the scenes a little bit. So let me kind of first of all explain to you kind of a little bit about what it's like when you move here from a different country, as many people have. I did that 9 years ago, and it's incredibly daunting because you literally have to start from scratch. You have to get referrals, you have to get people to help you make decisions. You really do have to kind of build your life from nothing. And I realized very quickly in building this community that I was not alone. And I'm sure that there are people here in the audience, both online and in the room, who have had the same experience as me, even if you've moved from another state. But as a mom and, a wife and somebody who's in a different country, it presents a lot more challenges than you would expect. So Plano Mums was really built on the back of a Facebook group. And so back in 2014, I happened to be the mom of a first grader in Plano Public School. I've met a couple of other moms, and we just had a night with a couple of bottles of wine, maybe 3. And the conversation kind of flowed quite quickly with the wine. And we all decided, wouldn't it be great to create a mums group on Facebook, which at the time was a kind of fairly new social media platform. People didn't really know how it worked, but very quickly we realized this was actually going to be kind of a big deal. And so it was a big deal. So Plano Mums really is an open community for anyone who lives, works, and plays in Plano or is planning to move here. And the group now, we are 7 years on, maybe 8 years on, is nearly 18,000 members. So for all of the men in the group, I'm afraid this is not your place. This is not for you. But you are going to find out quite a lot about what goes on in the minds of mums, and hopefully that will really help you in your daily life as well. We've also built a Facebook page as well as a group, and created an email list, because very quickly we realized that, online on your smartphone, you're actually using email often. And we recognized that there were a lot of local news, a lot of local businesses, a lot of events happening, and we wanted to start telling mums about those, especially as it pertained to their family. So we asked members to give us their email address, and now we have over 7,000 subscribers. They actually receive emails twice a week, once on a Friday morning with events for the weekend, and once on a Sunday evening with kind of the weekly roundup of news and offers and local business opening, things like that. And so the thing about the community is that it's not something I could have built on my own, and I definitely haven't. Along the way, I've built a team of mums who work with me. I don't say for me. I'm not a crazy, scary boss, but I do have a group of mums who work remotely from home, part-time, flexibly on their schedule, and they help me create a lot of content in different formats. So whether it's creating the email, working on blog posts, doing research, working with local businesses, and also kind of helping to run the Facebook page and the group. And the group has a number of moderators as well, who are volunteers, and they also help us to create a fabulous community, so much so that I'm really proud to say that I was invited by the Facebook company back in 2019 to visit their headquarters in California. Plano Moms Talk is so well run and recognized that they collected me along with probably about 300 other community leaders around the country who run all types of Facebook communities to come along, and we actually got to breathe the same air as Mark Zuckerberg. Now, not all of you will be impressed by that, but I will tell you that at the time it was kind of a big deal for me. I was very excited, and I thought, well, this is little old Plano, Texas. Who cares about us? Well, Facebook have got our eyes on us because they realize there's a lot of good things happening in our group and with Plano Moms. We're also on Instagram as well, so we put out content there too, and also on Twitter a little bit as well. So if we can go to the second slide. So now I'm going to tell you a bit more about our community and give you some sort of demographics. So hopefully you can see what we have on the screen, but basically the community has an average age of 25 to 44. Now, this is scary, but I'm slightly outside of that now, but I wasn't when it first began. 36% have kids age 0 to 3, 28% have 6 to 11-year-olds or teens. And many moms have 2, 3, 4 kids. Some of them are pregnant or planning to be as well. And they really care about a few different things. So some of them are really focused on moving. Now, I would estimate that about 40% of the community are planning to move here. We often get a lot of members joining who say, I'm in California, I'm in New York, I'm somewhere else in the world, I'm planning to move to Plano. I need to figure out where I want to live. And that actually is probably one of the most popular topics that we get, or even people wanting to move within the area as well. Other things that they care about, well, there's all ages and stages of kids. Obviously, there are grandparents in there too who really want to find out what things are going on in the area for their grandchildren so they can take them out and enjoy themselves. But what we also know about these mums is that they are decision makers. They really do run the household. Sorry, guys, but it's true. Often you'll probably admit that your wife or significant other, if they're female, do tend to take most of the decisions. And so they're often asking about all types of things that they need to know, like which is the best roofer in the area, or which preschool should my kid go to, or how can I find a nanny? So our mums do it all, and they wear many, many hats. It's a very crazy, stressful life for some. They come to the group to share their stresses, to share sometimes very, very vulnerable stories of things that they're going through, and they need help. And you know, some of them are in financial need, or worse still, they, you know, one of their family members has lost a job and they're worried about income. And there's a lot of that they're sharing online. And it's strange to consider that many of the members have never met in person, but in fact, they share their innermost details of their lives with people online, which I do find equal measure a little bit scary, but also a little bit humbling, because I feel like it's a safe place. Yes, Julie? Yes, we do allow anonymous posts. So that means that anyone can actually post at any time with something that they want to ask about without being identified, which also helps sort of make them feel very safe. So some of the content that we create on our website and in our emails that we share also in Facebook are, you know, which are the best places for local date nights, which are the best baby classes in the area, the best breakfast and brunch, indoor play areas, things like that. But what they care about is also very, very interesting. So if you see the bottom right corner, I'm going to show another slide soon, which really makes this more obvious, because I'm really taking you behind the scenes today, everyone. They care about so many things. They care about ways to save money. They care about ways to make money. They care about reviews. They're very, very focused on which is the best. And what's interesting is I feel that it's a lot of psychology that goes on with running a community like this, because the more you understand the community members, the more you realize that actually they are very trusting of each other. And that's because when you find peers that look like you, talk like you have some familiarity with, you trust their opinions. And when you're making big decisions, especially financial decisions, you do ask for their suggestions. And I will tell you that when I moved here all those years ago, that was something that I cared about the most, because I literally didn't have a clue. And I'm sorry to tell you, but those business owners who spend a lot of money on direct mail, who send you all those flyers that you see in your mailboxes that are kind of annoying, I'd throw those away. I don't think I'm alone in that, but I definitely wouldn't pick one of those flyers up and then call them and ask them to swap all of the windows in my house. I'm sorry about that. I would rather ask 17,000 mums for their opinions. That's just the way it works. And I think I'm not alone in that. Other things they care about really are that kind of guidance, even things like, you know, I'm worried my baby is not sleeping. So really kind of general things like that, not necessarily pertaining to living here in Plano. Other things they care about are, you know, charity work, not only being the recipient of receiving services from a local charity or organization, but also actually offering their support or their help. Many of them often ask, you know, how can I get my kids involved in charity? And they're looking for opportunities for that as well. So let's go to slide 3. So our website. Now, this is slightly scary, but there are people watching. So we do know quite a lot about our community, even though we don't necessarily survey them, but we do know who they are and we do have an idea, and that helps us create and give them content and resources that are useful to them. So first of all, we know the ethnicity of our demographic, and it does reflect very much so on the city of Plano itself. And we have a lot of members who live in the surrounding cities as well. But we do serve a number of different ethnic groups. We're very, very, very open to the fact that, you know, everyone has a different religious belief, and they have also very different political beliefs. And as such, we do make sure that the conversations that we have online are as neutral as possible, especially in the very divisive world that we live in today. So education, yes, they're very, very well educated. Many of them are college educated, some of them with grad school educations. We understand that they do look online at travel content, entertainment content. We know the websites that they also consume and look at, as well as us. And like any human being, they care a lot about eating and drinking, and also shopping. So those are things that we do like to create content about too. So we can go to the final slide. Okay, so this you might need to put your glasses on for, because what I've done is I pulled out a list of some of the biggest topics of conversation that we see online, and again, the things that they care about the most. And this is what we create content about. And of course, it is updated regularly because things change. But I'm going to pull out some of these, which I think are the most interesting for all of you. So things like rehoming and adopting pets, finding jobs. Right now, job ads are literally coming through at a pace you wouldn't actually believe, or maybe you would, because we know there's a lot of jobs out there. Which are the best churches that fit for their family? the making money from home, how to get rid of their extra stuff that they've got when they've done their Marie Kondo and cleared out everything. The best places for birthday parties, the best nail salons. One of the funniest debates that we have on occasion in the group is the very famous zoo debate. This is serious stuff because it's very important to know which zoo is better. And people are very firmly in one camp or the other. And so it's really a Dallas Zoo versus Fort Worth Zoo world, okay? So that's important. Which neighborhood should I move to? Now, this is it's an impossible question, I have to say, because every neighborhood has its pros and cons. And how does anyone know which is the best neighborhood? I don't know. Medical questions. We often see pictures of kids' rashes. Not sure. I know it's kind of weird, but you know, it's how it is. We often ask each other to try and diagnose such medical conditions on Facebook. Our group is not alone in that, but it's very difficult. You don't want to get it wrong. Making friends. So this is where, you know, again, it kind of it really speaks to the reason that I created the community in the first place. Because when you arrive somewhere new and you don't know anybody, it is very difficult and you don't know how to make friends. And so often there are literal ads with people saying, "This is me, please be friends with me." And I always admire anyone who has the courage to put themselves out there like that. Splash pads, this time of year, splash pads are very popular. We want to know where they are, which are the best parks for their kids, and you know, which are the best pediatricians and dentists and so on. But actually, I would say one of the things that I've noticed, especially recently, aside from the "please tell me what I should eat for dinner" debate, which is always a big one, is literally it's "I need to find somewhere to live." Now, this one really, it's hard because everyone's trying to find somewhere to live. It's not difficult to sell your home at a great profit, but it's also very difficult to find somewhere that you can afford to move to. So that's also a huge sticking point right now. So I hope this has been really helpful and useful to some of you, just to get a peek inside kind of the group and how it works, and really what many of the mums here in Plano care about and talk about, and that you as a Rotarian organization find that many of the people that you serve kind of may fit in with my community too. And you know, it's always very, very interesting to kind of get into their heads. So I'm open to any questions that you have for me. Yes.
How do you promote business within this group?
Yes. So on our website, we have a collection of blog posts of content. So we do a lot of roundups of who's the best of this, best of that. And so we invite you to list into those as well. We also have a directory of businesses. In our emails, we have slots that you can actually book, where you can put in some information and a picture or video. We do always ask you that you provide an exclusive offer, because we like to be a bit different from everybody else. And we know that other local publications do that as well, and that's really important too. But the important thing is that you wouldn't really believe this, but because we're in the group every day, we listen and we hear a lot of what people love and don't love. And if there is any business that people don't love, then we may not say yes, no matter what amount of money you want to throw at us. Yes, Jen.
So I was just going to say really 2 comments, only because I kind of come from the world that Abbie's in. Number one, you know, a Facebook group is different than a Facebook page, right? So you have a Facebook business page, and then you have the group, which is what she spent a lot of time talking about. Those admins don't get paid, and they see a lot of garbage. I was an admin, she has an admin, and we have, you know, if you do it, you usually have help. Be nice to those people on Facebook. They're not getting paid for that. And then second, I just wanted to say that you may be sitting here thinking, well, I'm not a Plano mom or whatever. I think what Abbie's really smart about is thinking about how you can use a Facebook group to pull together a community that has common interests. So maybe that's where in your business you think, okay, and I'm just going to use Steve. Maybe there's people that are AC enthusiasts. I don't know, but or maybe your business kind of lends itself to a certain kind of person in Plano or a certain kind of person in Collin County. So be thinking about how you can create or use a Facebook group to pull together a community that might be interested in what you're selling, but also she's really smart in the fact that she realizes it's not all about selling. Sometimes it's just about pulling people together to talk about things. And that almost always has a positive benefit, just like our Rotary Club started a Facebook group called Plano Serves, and we don't just promote our stuff. We let anybody come in and post. So it's all about pulling together a community, which I think everybody in this room could use that information.
We're kind of running out of time. So last question.
Mine's really easy. Is it just Plano or Collin County? Technically it's Plano, but I will take people who are kind of 5 to 10 miles outside of the radius. But I mean, honestly, it's all the local area because we're all very much connected, right? Yes.
Thank you, Abbie. Abbie. Let's do this.
It's coming. It's coming. My Mac is slow.
There we go. Abbie. In appreciation of your time and program, Plano West Rotary. I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo here. This is interesting. Are you guys hearing an echo? And this is muted. Plano West Rotary will donate $10 in your name to Rotary's Polio Plus Fund, together with the 2-to-1 matching funds from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Your $10 will turn into $30. And then that will provide polio vaccine for about 50 children. This has been Rotary's global service project for a number of decades, and we are very, very, very close. Rotary is using our polio infrastructure to aid in the vaccination of COVID-19. And the way that works is, the last 2 countries of polio are Afghanistan and Pakistan. We just cured polio or eliminated polio in Africa in 2021. And so in all these developing countries, we have this infrastructure to be able to vaccinate, basically in the villages and so on. So that infrastructure is still there because we're a partnership with World Health Organization. And so we're using that infrastructure for the COVID-19 vaccination because they have the same problem. If it's taken us, 30 years to vaccinate for polio, this vaccinating for COVID-19 is going to take a while. Most countries are under 10% vaccination rates right now. So polio is far from gone in the world. So we are doing, so you're actually this donation is in your name. So the Rotary Foundation will be contacting you because you are now in their database. And so we really appreciate your time. And a lot of people, I think we have about, oh man, Jen, you and I talked about these numbers, maybe about 12 Leadership Plano graduates in our club. I'm class 21 and we have a few people from before me. So we love LP, and I know you have a lot of people in your LP class in our club as well. So thank you. And I do want to, Jen gave a shout out. I think a lot of people are members of it, but we do have a Facebook group. It's like over 700 members. And the only purpose of the Facebook group is to talk about service projects in Plano that you can volunteer on. So that's telling me it's 1 o'clock. So we even have this, Karina, what? Say what? Oh, Plano Serves. That's what it is. So it's not just our project, but it has to be community service. It's not fundraising or anything like that. So we moderate it in that you've got to tell people about how they can serve the community in Plano. So if you're not a member of it, join. But we have over 700 people, and so everybody really takes care of it well. Well, next week we have Nadja, she's going to be speaking to us. So you guys see her in person. So now you have to be here. So she's going to talk about the 3 pillars of health. And we all need that. Yeah, when I look at my belly, I know I need that. So it's definitely required for me. So we're going to have Catherine is going to lead us in the 4-way test.
The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Rotary.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great week.